2016 was a big changeover year for me. Just to give some quick context, at some point in the spring, I don't remember when, I ended up moving out on my own, which was extremely stressful. So part of why I didn't I didn't draw a lot that year was because, well, one, because I was stressed out from work, and also because this was the year I met my now boyfriend. And we started talking a lot, and I ended up not drawing as much. But let's get into it. One of the rules I set for this highlight reel was to include the first and last piece of each year, even if they are embarrassing, just so I have like an honest look over how my art changed over the course of the year. This one, okay, still very much in the Merida and Errett ship at this point, as you can see, and starting to get a hang of digital art. This was January 19th, 2016. We can see I'm still using the SW signature, so I was still Song Winters. I've always envied artists who can get an idea for like a little joke and then draw it up in like just an hour or two. I've never been able to do that. This was like my attempt to try to do that, but I think it still took me like half a day to do. This one, at the time I did it, I was really proud of it. And over the last 10 years or so, I think I've been so focused on the hair whenever I looked back at it and how much detail I put into the hair. It wasn't actually until I was putting this together that I took a closer look at it and I'm like, wow, this sucks. The idea was like she's wearing one of Eric's shirts and taking a selfie to tease him about it, hence, the phone and the tongue out. And the shirt is too small to be Eric's. That's just a simple fact. But like the worst thing, aside from her face, which is so derpy, is the hands look so bad. I did not notice that until looking at it just now. The hair still looks good though. Like the colors aren't quite right because I was still figuring out colors on the screen, but the detail in the hair is still good. This is one of those ones that I drew at the time and stopped and stared at it and was like, did I actually draw that? I didn't quite know how to shade a shiny leather jacket, but I think I got close enough that you can tell she's supposed to be wearing a leather jacket. And I think the anatomy is still decently solid. The biggest issue I have with this is actually the background, which is super flat. Mostly because this was the first time I'd drawn a background like this digitally, so I'm gonna give myself some grace on that one. This one I'm still proud of. This one. This was also one of those, wow, maybe I actually am good at drawing moments. And like, it's simple overall. I get that. It's not super complicated, and when I look at it now, the trees aren't very good, but I still think it's good overall. And still really proud of this one. Okay, before you look at the background and go, oh, that background is really good, that's because it's just a screenshot from Brave that I took and put in the background, so I wouldn't have to draw anything. But this one, I was like, oh, I still really like this idea. I actually tried to go back a few months ago and redraw it with some of my original characters now. And I quickly realized that, like, on the surface, this one is passable. When I actually look closely at it, the anatomy is a mess. And also, I forgot to color in his hair tie. And for some reason in the last 10 years, I never went in and fixed that. Odd. This one is okay. I think I was using reference for this, which is part of why the shading is okay. Mostly I want to point this one out because it's the first time I signed something SE. So at some point in May, I took up the Song W. Erickson, or at least Song Erickson name, and was using that. This one, I just wanted to draw Merida wearing cowboy boots. But the best part of this picture, the best part, and I think in December I was looking back at this one and I stopped and I looked at the plaid on her shirt. And that is hands down the best thing about this picture is I actually did a really, really good job on that plaid and figuring out all the curves and the folds of the fabric. So yeah, no. Is it great? No. But at the same time, aside from a few things, I think this one came out really well, but the shoulders. I struggle with shoulders. I just realized that's a consistent issue in my work. Okay, so I mentioned this was the year I started talking to my now boyfriend. As I've said in previous videos, we started talking and started developing characters together. So this is the first piece I ever did of Hammond and Heather, which are two of our main characters. It's okay. Actually, I'm happy with it overall, although her legs are really long, so we can see still kind of haunted by the ghost of anime art past. It was my first time drawing a bookshelf digitally, and I think it was my first time in a long time that I'd drawn a bookshelf. Because that's the thing, I've actually drawn a lot of bookshelves, and none of them have survived. They're all gone. There's not a lot in his apartment, but at the same time, I did put a lot of effort into what details there are, and I think it's cute. And if nothing else, it's historic for being the first time I drew Hammond and Heather. Hammond and Heather again. I know that this one was actually the first birthday present I did for him, and we were playing with a superhero story idea at the time, hence why he has a cape and he's wearing black skin tights. The thing I think I'm proud of most, and it won't show up very well, her legs are way too long again. That I see that was creeping back in. But the thing I'm most proud of is actually like the skirt and the way you can see the movement of her legs in just the way the skirt moves. This one's fine, but what is notable about this is, as far as I can tell, this is the first time I signed something SWE, so I had fully embraced Song W. Erickson at that point. Like the previous one, it feels kind of historic that that's the first time I used that signature. And that's actually the last thing I drew in 2016. As far as I can tell. Bit of a rough year, didn't do a lot, but I definitely think there was progress in my art in general. So let's keep going because 2017 was an interesting year.